Hi, welcome everybody. My name is Karina. I volunteer at Coachilly magazine. I'm a coach like you, and you've probably seen other videos and articles that I write for Coachilly magazine where we equip coaches, mostly new coaches, with articles about coaching technology, industry trends, coaching methodology. And today I have a special guest here, John Larson. He is the owner of CoachAccountable, a coaching platform. And I want to really share with you why it is so important that you explore coaching platforms as you mature in your coaching business. Most coaches, when they start out, simply create a page where they can have somebody book appointments, and then maybe they set up a PayPal or a Stripe account, or maybe they have a coaching or a calendar platform like Calendly, and they set up their calendars and they have a free appointment and they have an appointment that they get paid for. That will work for a little while until you get more clients and you realize that it doesn't serve you well in the long run. It doesn't allow you to do a lot of follow-ups, holding people accountable, showing progress, maybe sharing worksheets with them, doing some exercises, perhaps even sharing courses that you have. So you can take this to another level when you have a coaching platform, because on a coaching platform, typically it will allow you to hold all these pieces together for one client. And CoachAccountable is an amazing platform. I have used it many years. It stands out to me as what I would call the human coaching platform, because the people behind CoachAccountable are very quick to help you when you have questions, which is very rare. I'll tell you that. I've tested 16 platforms over the years. CoachAccountable was one of them. And CoachAccountable recently had gone through a new release. They also had their, I think, 10-year anniversary. Is that true?
Going to be 11 at the end of this month.
11. Oh, congratulations. So big celebration there. And so without further ado, enough of me. Here's John sharing with us more about how CoachAccountable works. Hi, John.
Hey, Karina. Thanks so much for having me.
Yeah. When coaches initially come, maybe you walk us through the core functions that every coach will instantly see benefit in.
All right. So when it comes to instantly see benefit in, there's two sides of what CoachAccountable does. Both of them you alluded to. One is like the part that everyone knows to want. I need to run my business, schedule those appointments, sell their offerings, have their things sync and make themselves open for business. And CoachAccountable does that really well with client invoicing and payment plans and ways to have a little widget on your website so that people can peruse your offerings and sign themselves up and pay money or get themselves with a card on file subscription, group membership, courses, all that jazz. And then the other part is that, of course, coaches don't know to want nearly as much, but also what you've alluded to called, maybe you want to give them a worksheet. Maybe you want to share with them a course. Maybe you want to help them to actually do the work of acting on your coaching. So some of the core things of CoachAccountable are when you're working with people, when the business side is already handled, they're already signed up and you're good to go. How are you going to have your sessions go? And so much what coaches do and are trained in, because that's what the definitions of competency are, core competency requirements are, in my experience, they're all to do with what do you say on the call itself? What do you create? Alignment, rapport, the ethics of it, the various things, and everything that you do to prove yourself and train yourself up as a masterful coach has to do with what happens during those sessions. And my whole background, just going back to why I created CoachAccountable in the first place, was I was, as a coachee, really into it, really excited for, this is great, this is amazing, we're the coach and being a possibility, and excited for what I got created. But I lacked soft skills to actually do the work when coach wasn't there. I'd get off the call. My coach was great. I'm like, yeah, that was awesome. The coaching is amazing. And in this particular program that I was in, we'd always write down our action plan. And it was like carbon copy paper, kind of old school, right? And you hand off one copy to your coach, and I take my copy, fold it up, put it in my notebook, and probably forget. What this taught me was that so much of coaching can be very powerful, but where the rubber meets the road and where coaching makes a really big difference is, do your coachees actually follow through and take action in their lives to have those good insights make a difference? Coaches are amazing at having people be clear-headed, motivated, inspired at the end of a call. But what happens in the space between sessions, it's a crapshoot. There are A students of coaching, right? You've been a coach, and your listeners surely can relate to, you've worked with people who are amazing. They're like, yeah, coach, that sounds great. I'll do A, B, C, and steps E and D as well. And they will put in their calendar and they'll follow through, and you'll get back and like, how'd it go? And making plan, action, progress, and things are happening and unfolding. Great. You hit the road. Those are the A students of coaching, and they're awesome to coach. They make us as coaches feel amazing. I'm so effective. This is great. But and it turns out a large swath of the population are what I would call motivated mere mortals. They're into what you're saying. They're into the creation. They're committed. They want what there is to get out of their coaching relationship with you. But they're mere mortals, and they have life too. They're doing their own thing. They've got things that crowd out, and they might not have quite as powerful a relationship with their calendar and their ability to make space for rising up and going beyond their usual day-to-day handling the bustle and din of life. I'm looping back. This is a long loop, but thanks for bearing with me. To your original question, like, what would coaches see to appreciate out of your platform? One of the big things that I'm really excited for, everyone comes for the business side. They know they need the business side. But one of the things I'm really excited for is, let's make coaching generally more effective by having it be more than just those conversations. So those are some of the things that I can get into a little screen share of how these things work that help coachee to be supported and take action and have forward momentum when coach is not even there. And so when you come back for that next session, you've got this sense of, as coach, I know exactly what's done. I know exactly what's not. I don't have to spend time on the weather report. We can deal with any breakdowns. We can celebrate any wins and be almost like a genius because you're already in your client's world before you even get on the call. And that sort of being closer to them and more aware of what they're going through and dealing with helps you just be so much more on point. And that's what excites me about elevating coaching writ large.
Yeah, that excitement comes across. And what I'm hearing, the two things that I pick out of this for the coachee, and the coach knows this, right? Any good coach knows that the real transformation happens between two coaching sessions. So that's what CoachAccountable enables. But I also hear for the coach what it does. To prepare for a coaching session is also important, right? To be fully present in the moment. And we take away so much time from a coaching session if we do all of that in the beginning. It's not that you don't have a meet and greet and you catch up on a few things. Yeah. But like you said, if you already know where the client is a huge help to any coach, because then probably you could say maybe the time between sessions that I need to buffer could be shortened because I become more effective in it.
Definitely. When you've got a clear record of everything that got created from last time, session notes all right there, your review is 1 minute, maybe 2, quick glance, a re-skimming of the notes that you made last time, and you are good. You are present. And that makes such a big difference to be present and locked and loaded in your client's world. Because I have had coaching calls where, no joke, I pay $1,000 for an hour-long coaching call. And my coach was great, but he'd lead with, okay, so what are you dealing with and what are we talking about today? Okay, that's a certain level of service, but there's a higher level of service that the kind of coach who's not yet at that level can absolutely dunk on that kind of, shall we say, that's pedestrian, basic table stakes way of coaching. That flies. That's a way to do it. But you can instead come in like, hey, I see what we created from last time. I see what's done. I see what's not. Your numbers are looking good. Let's get going, shall we? There's a certain, wow, my coach is in my world. And I'm there 12 o'clock and they're like, okay, next in line, what are you dealing with? There's a certain and an awareness that coachee feels, wow, my coach is really in my corner. And that's just a fun thing. You come in looking like a genius.
Right. Yeah. Not only that, I think also nowadays, coaching has been on the rise, right? It has been steadily, the market has been steadily increasing.
Sure.
And when we no longer are operating in a vacuum, maybe like in the past, in the carbon copy days, we didn't know what happened with other coaches. So there are tons of other coaches out there. And if anybody ever has another experience, and now companies hire more coaching for their employees, people get to have a taste of coaching and what it's like and what platforms are being used. And there are all kinds of different experiences. So
Yeah.
for us not to look at how do I give my client a good experience, what would benefit them, I think it's paramount that we do that.
I dare say it's a juicy opportunity that is vastly underutilized.
I think so too.
Paramount is cool, but that applies that it's a certain essential and you can't get by without it. Dude, coaches are getting by without it left and right. They just show up for the call. What are we talking about today? Which is why, again, there's this idea of being able to differentiate yourself. Give them something better and remarkable and delightful.
Yeah, something they don't want to walk away from. Now, you can do this probably for a while, but if you don't get to have somebody sign with you, like after the contract ends, for example, right? So your engagement is ending and they go, oh, that was nice. But if I would imagine, not just imagine, I know when you work with a coaching platform like yours, it's very high end. It's a good experience that they go, I don't really want to walk away from this because it keeps me on my toes. It keeps me doing exactly what I need to do. To your point, not everybody is, how did you frame it, is as in tune or
an A student of coaching, maybe.
no, in love with their calendar or whatever you said.
Have a powerful relationship with their
Powerful relationship with the calendar, right? And
Mhm.
so now you're helping them through the coaching platform. But now I really want to see it. What does it look like when you set up a coachee and CoachAccountable? Can somebody that is not really tech prone easily figure it out? What does it take to have a coachee set up and CoachAccountable?
Yeah, let me show you. Beautiful. All right, so what I'm going to do is do a story sort of in media res. Instead of starting up from beginning, I'm going to jump in the middle of the action where I've got a relationship of a coaching thing, and we'll kind of loop back to the beginning to show how that all comes around from the square one. But to make it interesting, let's say we're going to go coach our client, Doc Miltine, which is an anagram for demo client. I can set it up so that CoachAccountable will schedule an appointment with someone and then send me an email or a text like 10 minutes before. And so I like my personal styles. I get a text 5 minutes before, and that tells me, oh, cool, I'm talking to Doc. Let me go look in his file and see what's up, see what we talked about last time, and see what's new from when we last talked, from what things we last created. So if I were to go to, so I can review the stream, which is all this chronological stuff, but let me go into these individual bits. The metrics, okay, we got a couple of games that we've created, things that are worth tracking with performance on this and that. We make it as easy as possible for them to show up to actually do those things. Look like you sleep and placement, practice violin. Okay, cool. And then we can look at the action plan, what's new, what's been done. Let's see here. We got a bunch of things here. Oh, this is great. Something's now almost late. That's due tomorrow. I'll have to make sure to talk to him about that. Make sure that he's following up on all the things. Session notes, we can look back. Okay, what did we talk about last time? Okay, yeah. Oh, I remember that conversation. Okay, great. And so now I can now get another text, like maybe at T-1 minutes. And that's, again, my style. I'll say, okay, your thing is in 1 minute. And if I sync with my calendar, I can have, or connect my calendar and my Zoom account to have it create a Zoom meeting for him. The link to join the meeting will be right there. And then we can get on the phone and talk. But again, I'm not coming in cold. I know what's done, what's not. I know how things have unfolded since the last time we talked in terms of things that we have co-created as worth tracking. And I know what we're talking about. So we get into it. And I like to tell people there's something really nice about you share your screen. You let them see what's up. So we go into client present mode, which eliminates anything that they shouldn't see so that I don't accidentally go into someone else's client page and confidential, all that. And any private messages or notes that I put will automatically disappear. But here, what we can do is we can have this be a collaborative co-creation. So I can begin a new session, start some session notes. I've got these templates, which are preloaded, but you create your own and make your own style. My personal style is the weekly session, where again, it's just a matter of, okay, what's the situation? What are we dealing with? And then what sort of key insights or distinctions might I want to share with this on a silver platter for my coachee to do? And this is something we can co-create as we're going. Like I'll often, like I said, share my screen, get into the conversation, and we'll get to that moment, that aha moment, like, oh yeah, that's great. Let me write that down so we never forget that. As we're going, we can create some action items like, oh yeah, it's worth it doing to, like, let's have you clean your office this week because it's brain clutter and all that. And I might advise them to be logged in as well so that they can do these things instead of me. There's a certain tactile ownership. If they're picking the date calendar, oh yeah, I'll have that done by Saturday. And let me set myself some reminders. And then we can just send a notification if we want and just make a couple of these things. And now we're crafting an action plan that, again, has the gems and the insights from the relationship, from the conversation that we're having, translate into what's this going to look like when you get out into your life when I'm not here? where the rubber meets the road to actually take action and have this make a difference. So we're teeing up a game. And back here, I can, again, take some more notes. Maybe I've got some things in my library, some resources that are worth thinking. Maybe I've got some great TED Talks I love to recommend as situationally appropriate, or maybe some articles to read. So I've got my library. I can share a file with anyone from this. Like, oh, let's have you watch this.
Let me pause there for a minute. Yeah, because this is interesting, right? We might have many coaches, especially when they start out early on, and this is the audience we might have in this room listening to this. We might also get some that compare, they're coming from other coaching platforms, but especially when they're new, it's often the question, I don't have so much material yet. I want to highlight this. You don't always have to have all of your own material. Sometimes you have a resource, like John said, like a TED Talk, and you add that. Now, what I understood here is that you can build this library as a mix of maybe your own worksheets that you upload, your own documents, and external links. So I could save like a TED Talk, and I already have it in here. Is that, yeah? Okay,
Exactly
so now
right.
you have it at your fingertips here, and just pull it out and add it to the resources of the coachee, yes?
Yeah. And all these things, your accounts come preloaded with stuff. You can install some stuff so that you're not stuck looking at a blank slate. You can see, okay, these are the kind of things that can be shared. These are the kind of worksheets and exercises and check-in forms. Let me take this and twist it and add my own personal touch, or just look at it and get inspiration. Like, oh, the thing I love to ask people in, or the thing I love to have people reflect on after a session, or I can design my own thing, but I don't have to start from square one.
Really good. Yeah. Yeah. Actually, on that note where you said it comes preloaded, and I thought this was amazing too. We shared on the Coachilly website some templates that coaches can get. So if somebody's interested in really starting out early on, you have a massive library, I should say, of coaching templates and packages, even for specific types of coaching, for relationship coaching and for health coaching. And so there are different specializations in there, and you have the whole package. It comes from the time they come in, from the onboarding to the coaching, to resources, to courses. Yeah, exactly. Thank you so much. And so these are free if you really want to get a good starting point, and then you can, like you said, you can make it your own. You can modify these worksheets, add to it, subtract from it, take out what you don't like, add what you like. You can do that, and he's doing that here. Tick in the box and off you go. Yeah.
Whole bunch of stuff to get your creative juices flowing. So you don't have to like, okay, what can I do with this? We'll show you. And then you can bring your own mojo, your own style, your own distinctions and methodology to this, to the
Really
mix.
good. Yeah. Do we have like more items to go through? I think we went through most of them.
Yeah, on the resource packages, that's the general gist. Let's wrap up our session with Doc, shall we? And see what that looks like. Round up things and tee up things for what I call the session cycle. The next round of we talk and create, and then they do their life, and then we review. So I'll share this file. Hey, give this a watch.
All right.
And I can, again, just share these sort of resources, create an action plan. We can track some metrics. Heck, we might say, oh, you want to work on something cool. Let's track a metric. Maybe they want to just get into simple good habits. Like, look, your work-life balance is rubbish. Let's have you taking a walk every day, just 10 minutes. Is that cool? Again, you kind of co-create with the client. Like, okay, that sounds good. So we'll maybe make a metric to do that. And we'll measure it in minutes. And we'll say, let's start it from today. We'll backdate it just so we can play with it. But for the next 4 weeks, just make a habit of it every day. And let's say that's a target. We'd like you to get at 10 minutes. And maybe by the end, you edge up where the goal is 15 minutes of our time. And yeah, higher is better. And here's the magic by which it actually happens. Here's where you get to have that magical, supportive presence in your coachees' lives when you're not even there, in the space between sessions, a little loving tap on the shoulder. Hey, don't forget to do this. So we'll send them a Doc a reminder every day at 7 p.m. Maybe Doc's, hey, I might take it after dinner, so just text me at 8:30. Great. We'll have it sent to you at 8:30. And to make this as easy as them, it'll say, hey, what's your number for walking minutes a day? It'll send a text, and for that text, they don't need to log in. They can just say, oh yeah, I walked 22 minutes. Maybe they add a comment. This is really great. Took a walk with my wife. I feel awesome. Send. And it'll automatically be recorded in Coach Accountable. Coach can see it unfold as time goes on. There's a certain building of powerful habits that get co-created during a session that can then play out when coach isn't there. And it gives them something, it gives you all something to talk to the next week of like, how do you feel with that new habit, with that new practice?
Yeah, I hope everybody watching this is really realizing how powerful this is. Yeah, and that's the graph, right? You showed that earlier too. So now you created a metric, and when they come back and they're actually following this, you can see the progress they're making. I think this is fantastic, especially not everything will be habit change, but for habit change, it will be very powerful.
Or even measuring something that matters. Like if you're in a business doing business coaching, cool. What's your sales goal? What are your numbers? We'll see the trends of when you're falling below and when you're rising above.
That's
And
right.
again, I always tell coaches, encourage your people to add comments. So it's not just raw numbers. Have them tell the story behind the numbers. And over
Mhm.
time, the magic will happen of like awareness and patterns that reveal themselves of what sort of things tended to work, what sort of things did not. So you can double down on the workable things and avoid pitfalls in the future. All right, let's wrap up this session with Doc. Yeah. So when we were creating session notes, we can share them with the client, or I can make some internal ones. Some coaches will make 2 copies for every session and just do this offline. But we'll share these with the session with the client. Coach comes like, hey, these actions got created. Shall we append them? Yep, that sounds pretty good. And then let's send this off to Doc. Again, a nice souvenir right in their email inbox with the director's cut gems on a silver platter. A little love note here. Just have a little thing. I could CC myself if I feel so inclined. Send it off and we're done. We can then schedule the next appointment with Doc. You know, our next weekly coaching call. Hey, Doc, when's good for you? Next Wednesday. Great. Again,
Mhm.
these little reminders can be set and send, and we'll just send a notification. And we could do a series if we feel so inclined. Yeah, let's just book out the next 3 of them every week. This time work good for you. Great. And now that's in on the docket for what's upcoming. We've got our calls and it's synced to everyone's calendar, and these reminders will send off on time. And again, those Zoom meetings could have been created. And then we're done. We're now done coaching Doc. If we go back to the stream, which is the chronological record of all the things, we got our session notes and this file that I just shared, and these action items, and this new metric. And now we're good. We're done with Doc. We can get on with our day. If we got another call, Coach Campbell might send me a text like in 1 minute for the T-5 minutes for the next person to talk to. I've got a nice record. My coachee has a nice game to play at until next time. And when they do, I can, again, just do a quick review of their client page to see what's done, what's not, how is the game unfolded. And we continue on.
Yeah. Okay, so I think we get a good gist of what happens when you do the coaching, you share the resources, you set accountability, you create these action items, you set the next session going forward, like all of these things happen. And while you are not even working, you might be sleeping at 8:30 when your client needs to be reminded about his nighttime walk. The platform sends out the text message on your behalf and collects the data that he sends back. So this is really beautiful. And even afterwards, I think it's valuable for us coaches, especially when we want to continue our growth, to get a session feedback form out and collecting some feedback from
Yeah.
clients.
In this one, right now we've got this, you can see in the sort of the record of Doc Melting, the system's sending out a pre-session prep every time. And we can configure an appointment type to say, hey, send this out, say 48 hours in advance and make it due 2 hours in advance or something like that. And that, again, just makes it dead simple for them to do, even if they get an email to one click and then they log in. Here's the worksheet. Take a little time to reflect. Here's a template preloaded in your account. Make your own style. But you can also encourage people to reflect on, hey, what did you get out of that session? I will share with you the session notes that I typed up, but you first. Giving them an opportunity to recall, generate. It helps to have the things you create with them stick all the more.
Yeah, and I could see how you could tailor this to the types of clients you're working with. Maybe I work with a lot of executives and they don't want to fill in the worksheet. But if I do the pre-session, like I call it set call strategy, right? And I'll say, hey, focus, impact, result. What are we trying to achieve today?
Yeah.
And I brief them initially on like, how does that work? And I get a text message perhaps, and they could just answer that. And they say, I want to focus on executive presence. Why does it matter to me? What do I want to specifically tackle in this session? Okay, good. So now this comes back as a text message, but it goes into the platform, right? Because that's how it shows up there. I could see that being very valuable in really adjusting to the style of communication that your clients prefer.
Definitely.
Let's talk about customization. Can you share a little bit what it takes to set it up and really make it your own? How
Sure.
easy is it?
So one of the things you're talking about is branding. give it the look and feel. So we can have nice little color schemes or choose our own colors that match exactly what we're looking for. And it's fun little just aesthetics, looks, kind of give it the look and feel that you want, or dark mode, which is fun. Upload logos and icons to, again, make it your own thing. Coach Accountable is not an app that one can find in the App Store, so there's nothing that anyone needs to fart around with downloading and hoping you get the right version, or hoping it's not doing anything nefarious in the background, which a lot of apps are doing. Instead, you can set an app tile that is branded your way and not mine, and then tell people you can just add to home screen when you're on your tablet or smartphone. It'll be there with your app name and tile, which is slick and professional. Get to set an email template and a couple of things in this and that. And moreover, you can have a login page branded your way, as well as a login widget for your own website so that people can log in from there instead of at coachaccountable.com.
Yeah, which is really great. And then also I think, session so if you wanted to have your own booking calendar for, let's say, for your discovery or your free consultation or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah. So that's the stuff of offerings. And offerings have tons of power, where it's basically this idea of, if you have things that you're offering to let coaches or coachees, would-be clients, prospective or established, sign themselves up for and even pay for this or that. That would be the stuff of an offering. So we can do the classic discovery call, and then what information do you want to collect, and then what happens as part of this offering. So for the classic discovery call, you could do all these things, but just this one is usually what you want to do. I'm going to get out of dark mode too. So yeah, here's an appointment type. You can set this up and name it whatever you want, and then say, yep, that'll be that. And then we could set a price if we felt so inclined. Once you connect to payment processor, on-screen welcome, all set, you're really good to go. And this is it. So there's not going to be much going on here, but if we preview, this is a standalone page, but this also could be a widget that you embed on your website. Again, very similar to a Calendly or a Coachilly. And you can let people book themselves into your availability, sync with your calendar, and then you're off to the races. You've got new prospects who can book with you. Maybe they fill out an intake form. Maybe you give them a sort of like taste of your coaching style in advance by letting them log in and play with some of the things that you might want to share with them in a drip sequence.
Really good. So how would you say, for somebody that is maybe not as tech prone and wonders, how easily can I set this up, and will it work with other things I'm using? What would you say to them?
Work with the other things you're using. You might find you're able to drop a lot of things that you're using, and this will do all the things. At last count, Coach Accountable is like 9 apps roll into one. Scheduler, invoicing, course platforms, CRM-ish, group management, habit tracker, to-do list. I think this could be more. I forget anyway. But that it does so much, and it's become the one-stop shop for so many people. So if you want to talk about setup, there's the webinar series. Let me just show you this drawing. This is the gist that this webinar goes through, which tells you how to set up all the things. And I say on day one, you can do it all in an afternoon. And there's 3 tracks. One is the business track, where you set yourself up to be able to accept payments, sync your calendar and say when you're available, set up your engagements of called what sort of packages do I offer and what kind of cadence for billing, set up your offerings. So it's like, okay, whoever wants to book in the self-service thing, and then you're ready for business. I can go pretty quick. And then the other part called ready to host. Okay, everyone's into my house, my portal, my place that has the look and feel and voice of me. Again, the branding, we played with some of those things, customize your message templates, move things around so that people have the right things, then not the wrong things, set your notifications that you want, and maybe even, hey, welcome to working with me. Here are things you can expect, and make a nice little starter sequence. And then that third one is a lot that we went through in this little demonstration with Doc Milteen, this idea of getting ready to coach. So you can set yourself up with a freebie client so you can play around and see what it's like on the client side of things, play with assigning actions, to play with typing up sharing session notes, assign a worksheet, see what that's like, share a file, make a metric. Gosh, we did all of that except for assigning a worksheet. And then you're ready to coach. And by that, I mean, you've already done the heavy lifting of doing your coach training. So you know what to say and how to be on the coaching sessions to make them great. This is about, how do you add something to that so that, again, those gems live on and create a game that they can take into their lives when you're not there. All 3 of these tracks, the webinar will walk you through how to do these and all the clicky stuffs. And again, it can be all done within a half an hour, or not a half an hour, within half a day, an afternoon, and you're ready for these 3 things. And then all these other fun things that Coach Accountable does do. You can issue agreements and collect signatures, and you can have more content that, again, gives more depth to it, and automation and programs and courses and this sort of thing.
Oh.
all available when you're ready. People can be overwhelmed, but boy, you can get started with the basics fast.
Yeah. Oh, I love this. I'm absolutely love this because what you give coaches there is like a roadmap for setting this up and
Yeah.
expanding their capabilities with the platform very easily. What if they needed extra support? If so they watch the video, but they still have questions. What do they do?
Sure. Very proud of customer support and how it all works. At any point in the system, you can click one of the light bulb icons that you see, and that'll load up an article that's to do with whatever it is you happen to be looking at. And you can, of course, in self-service fashion, read these and learn what there is to learn and get down with this and that. But if you have any questions, send an email, no worries. And if you want to book a little time, that's available. And more to that, if you're all about, can I just hire someone to set this all up for me? I can't be bothered. There are professionals in the Coach Accountable community who can do this for you. So if you go to help and then get connected, hire a pro. And there's a couple of folks who are available and reach out to them, and they will go as far down the rabbit hole of, we will do it for you. We will help you brainstorm and design your actual course content. Morgan was my number 2 for 4 years, and she's deeply skilled and knows, no one in the world knows the system better than myself and Morgan. So a couple of folks, though, that are available to you.
Really great. Yeah, I can say this. I've worked with Morgan like many times and requested support. She was always there, always a good listener. She understood the problem like right away. There's not a lot of clarification needed. And it was really helpful to receive a response right away. I think this is also a distinction for Coach Accountable against other platforms that say they have a certain time frame within which they will respond, but I haven't really seen that work that way. And so this was really unique with you guys, at least so far. That's my personal experience. Besides, your platform, I should also say, is one of the most tenured ones available.
So yeah, 11 years in.
11 years in. Yeah, I think a lot of the bugs the kinks are out. It's a very mature platform that's very robust and very flexible. There's a learning curve. I would encourage anybody consider it strongly, but plan for some learning curve. It's okay. Do you still offer a free trial period where they can experiment a little bit, figure out if it's for them?
Yeah, full 30 days, no credit card required. You can be up and running with your account in about 3 minutes, and then you can
Wow.
get in and play. And then again, just reach out if you need our support. I do weekly office hours as well, so anyone who is free to drop by for some live help from the founder himself.
Oh, there you go. Wow. So direct access to the Foundry. That's phenomenal. All right. John, thank you so much for this walkthrough. I love the demo. I love learning. I've used your platform. It was like great refresher for me too. I hope everybody will at least give it a try. And yeah, with that, thanks to you for taking the time to educate us.
My pleasure, Karina. Thanks so much for having me again. Cheers.
Cheers.